forum goes back should maintain a humble sort of position vis-a-vis them and just be helpful if you can.
I would like to ask 3 questions, but mainly two of are actually talking about the international perspective. Could you provide any kind of speculation on the future of foreign policy of Egypt? That is, because now we see the people of Egyptian people, now that Egyptian people realize that they can actually voice out their opinion, and so they can actually force the government to change, and then like accept or actually to change in a way that that reflects the voice of Egyptians. Do you think that then the Egyptians, specifically Egyptians, will play kind of like a significant role in shaping up the foreign policy of Egypt? So, and also, if that is so, then how would that affect the relationship, particularly maybe with Israel and also the United States? And the third thing is actually this is actually regarding to the argument of patriarchy brought up by Professor ElTantawi. Would there be like I don't know, change of IR perspective? Like I'm talking specifically with like transition from realist diplomatic policy to like maybe liberal diplomatic policy, because as you said, because people have risen up, and so over to the government now voice their opinion, which means that
that's a great question. I really love that question.
Patriarchy like fell. So, and do you think that this will imply that the foreign policy in terms of our perspective be changed from like realist to like liberal or maybe constructive or any kind of such?
Well, obviously I can't say what's going to happen, but I can say that the kind of realist school that has been dominant in some corners of political science up until the revolution got it totally wrong. And so I find that really interesting. The idea that, you know, first it was there's no way Tunisia is going to spread, and then it was, well, there's no way that Mubarak will ever leave, and it was just really interesting to see the total failure of a kind of notion of political change that says that what was is the best predictor of what will be. And I think that that is what the revolution, that's sort of one of the beautiful things about the revolution, that it was so unpredictable, and that people did things that defied what all of our kind of social scientific methodologies said should happen. So whether that will translate into foreign policy, I mean, probably not in a radical way, simply because that's usually not how it works once the stabilization takes place. But to your first question, I mean, one of the most significant foreign policy events since the revolution is the border with Gaza was opened last week. That's a very significant development. Because you asked specifically about Egyptian-Israeli relations, this was not something that would have happened certainly under the Mubarak regime. So again, I don't know if people have different ideas about this, but it still remains to be seen. But I personally am curious to what degree the failure of the realist perspective will reflect in future foreign policy, if that is really seen as the...
Yeah, I think, go ahead. I was going to bring the same thing, the opening of the border with Gaza. I mean, that wouldn't have happened. And a lot of criticism of the Mubarak regime in foreign policy about supporting the U.S. rendition policy, for example. That would not be, I think, feasible in any reasonable government that's going to come to the fore. But I think, as you were just saying, Tunisia happened, then would Mubarak actually leave? There's a lot of things fomenting around the Arab world right now, whether it's Syria, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Bahrain. The Palestinians, Hamas and Fatah just signed a unity agreement. So they're supposed to have elections in the fall. I think, Egypt is just so influential. Like under the Nasser regime, the television, the music, the culture coming out of Egypt, that this could be a real mobilizing effort over the next 5 and 10 years. The vibrant civil society